Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Radio Free Wall Street. We are here. It's quiet Sunday evening in New York. Life is good. Donald Trump is in control of the economy. And we got a trade war. And we are kicking ass and taking names. America's great again. Can you feel the greatness? That's right. We're going to return manufacturing America. We are going to have Made in America stamped on everybody's ass, and every product in the world is going to have that label. Because the world will cave in to the great Donald Trump. Da-da-da-da! Donald Trump knows how to negotiate. This is the art of the deal. That's bullshit. Do you believe that? Nice try, but I'm not that stupid. Reality is, this shit ain't working. American companies are being punished. Let me tell you how clever them goddamn foreigners are, by God. Well, the dollar is soaring in value against every major world currency. Soaring. That means that U.S. export goods are climbing sky high. Orders for things like soybeans, American beef and pork and chicken products have been canceled across the board. American products from American manufacturers, I mean red-blooded, by God country, none of the damn foreigner ones, are not competitive. You know, no one is so lucky in business to have no competitor. And competition is fierce in this world, especially with the growth markets diminishing, especially with markets maturing, especially with manufacturing techniques, proprietary information proliferating around the world. There's no secrets left. So what's the problem? We can't compete. Now, we were marginal because of the extremely high labor rate that we pay in America. We were marginal because we have a higher standard across the board. American businesses pay more for the land, pay more for the factories, pay more for compliance. And, of course, the big one is paying so much more for labor. Now you add to that deficit, that drag on sales, that coefficient that keeps your prices high. Now you add a soaring dollar. Game, set, match. Now people are angry. So we are also seeing a backlash. Not getting a lot of reporting is that there's a do not buy American movement around the world. People are pissed. They feel like Donald Trump is not justified in what he's doing. They feel like they're being unfairly targeted, and they just plain don't like it. So what is the outcome of this? Automobile manufacturers are reporting that they're going to be closing factories and a major slowdown in sales. Agricultural products are bombing. Bombing. The cheesemakers from the dairy farmers that export into Canada, to the corn producers that sell into Mexico, to the pork producers that sell to China, they are seeing a major downturn. Now, what's going on in the rest of the world? Well, it's party time. There are more than enough willing suppliers to fill the gap. There are more than enough competitors that can take advantage of a sky-high dollar that makes America non-competitive, that can take advantage of the movement to not buy America and retaliate. Now, Donald Trump's advisors, the ones that are left. See, the way you become an advisor to Donald Trump is you know somebody, you get a deal. And then you have to prove that you are retarded. You have to prove that you're a kiss-ass brown nose, and you got to prove that you're stupid. Whatever bullshit Donald Trump says is true, you have to swear to it. Donald Trump says the sky is pink and has white lace around it, and you say, I saw it. Donald Trump is so brilliant. Oh, you have to talk about how brilliant Donald Trump is and what a great genius he is. And if you do that, you have your job for a little while. And you must sell your soul to Donald Trump. You must support his lies. You must make an idiot of yourself. And I might say, Ed, you throw yourself on the bus. And after Donald Trump, you probably have lost all credibility in your industry. Now, there's a lot riding on these trade wars, okay? Right now, we've got a situation where, for example, Donald Trump is in a trade war with Turkey. And it's not even over trade. Donald Trump is putting sanctions against Turkey over some preacher who was arrested, who's now on house arrest, and Donald Trump has decided in his magnificence that he must be released immediately. and the Turkish lira is collapsing. There is $200 billion in Turkish debt in European banks, basically 4 banks, in Spain, Italy, and Portugal. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump's trade war tools are backfiring. He has now decided that he is going to exert his magnificent, fantastic scholarly ability, his great economic mind, and he's going after Iran. And he wants them to stop them from acquiring nukes. Brilliant move, you say. Well, at the same time he's putting sanctions against Iran, he's also putting sanctions against Russia. Now, Russia's there as an Iranian-Syrian partner. And, I might add that he's also putting sanctions against NATO ally, Turkey, who is now being forced more closely aligned to Iran and to Russia, who are suffering sanctions, So how far do you think the Iranian sanctions are really going to get? Exactly how does this work out? And the answer is Donald Trump is shooting himself in his great big foot. He's got a trade war with Mexico, and most of the car companies in Mexico are American-owned companies. He's got a trade war with Canada. Canada trade with America is one of the few areas where we maintain a surplus and is profitable. And we're looking at a situation where over and over and over again, Donald Trump's stupidity has driven people into the hands of our enemy. He's withdrawn much aid from Mexico. He's withdrawn a lot of aid for Central America. He's walking away from South America and putting sanctions against Venezuela. Now, these sanctions are like going crazy, like out of control. Sanctions wars are the biggest dollar-wise thing Donald Trump has ever done. Okay, the biggest investment, or lack thereof, is Donald Trump's trade wars. And the trade wars are growing larger and larger with China, all of Europe, and they're failing. Donald Trump's advisors told him, hey, listen, you start these trade wars, and Canada and Mexico will back down in a New York second. Europe will take about 2 seconds, and China will take about a minute. They will never put sanctions against us because they're too afraid of us, and you will win. It didn't happen. China said, bullshit. Mexico has stood up. Canada, Europe, all of a sudden these trade wars that were supposed to be a slam dunk easy policy are blowing up in Donald Trump's face. American businesses are suffering tragic losses, and we will see in the third quarter reports of how much sales they've lost, how many employees are losing their jobs. You heard me right, losing their jobs. And the economic disaster grows by the day. Farmers in Iowa are not going to be selling their pork, and many of them can't stay in business. Grain farmers are seeing a devastating situation as their orders for grains are being canceled by China as we speak. Businesses are reporting that their input costs, especially in steel products, are skyrocketing, and they're not competitive. See, that margin is very, very thin in the competitive world, and you have a large increase in input prices, and all of a sudden you're at a competitive disadvantage. Got it? He's crucifying U.S. businesses. The trade wars are not working. Now, we are entering into recession. The U.S. Treasury is borrowing record amounts of money, writing record amounts of debt, because Donald Trump's tax break bonanza for billionaires did not work on the laughing curve. Remember they were talking about that? See, the way the theory went is that you dramatically cut taxes for businesses, and you allow them to bring back their money tax-free. And they're going to be so grateful, they're going to go, oh, thank you, Donald. You're great, Donald. And they'll join that woman who saved $1.50 on her weekly paycheck because of Donald Trump's tax break bonanza. And these grateful corporations will invest the money and pay their employees more, even though they don't have to. They will give bonuses to their employees out of the kindness of their heart. And we know how kindness exudes out of every pore of a corporate CEO. And they will open factories in America that has one of the highest labor rates in the world. Well, oh my God, it didn't happen. The traders got that tax break bonanza for billionaires, and they gave it to the billionaire friends. They bought back shares of stocks. They paid dividends. They paid stock options. They paid bonuses. And they didn't invest in new plants and equipment. They didn't give big bonuses to their employees and raises out of the heart. You know, when you're a CEO of a large corporation, you're telling your shareholders how you're cutting labor costs, not increasing them. You're talking about how you're efficiently building factories around the world where you have the best labor rate and you're closest to your markets. The United States is a mature market. U.S. corporations have had the lowest investment costs ever in the past 10 years, which meant they could invest in everything they wanted. And they did. They're done. Cycle over with. Now's a time where corporations are closing factories. They are firing people. They're consolidating their businesses. And they are pulling in their horns because we have something that happens periodically in America called a recession. Now, if you're a big dog CEO, you don't have to talk about this in polite circles, but you've been around long enough to know that every time the Fed raises rates, every time we go into recession. And every time we're entering a recession, Wall Street and the Fed tells you we're not. Every time we're entering a recession, they tell you how great we are and how this time it'll be different, and it's not. The real estate market collapses, commercial real estate market collapses, banks wipe out, loans go bad, and it is a plain old-fashioned recession. Now, when you add to that this incredible trade wars, why that recession now turns into depression. And that's also a known fact. So corporate CEOs go, whoa, baby, let me feather my nest. Let me get my bonus there. Let me get these stock options, which I'll immediately exercise and sell. So you've seen the biggest insider selling of stocks among corporate holders of stocks in history. You have seen the biggest share buyback in history, and you have seen corporations pulling in their horns and not investing. Oh, my. Laffer, Kudlow, what went wrong, buddy? So you had the biggest miscalculation ever. Now, as a result of that, instead of corporate taxes returns coming to America, tax revenue increasing, tax revenue in America has been declining for corporations. So much so that there's now a $1.5 trillion hole that has to be filled up with borrowing. Oh, they didn't tell you that? Yeah, you see, what was supposed to happen was just the opposite. America was supposed to get more tax revenue. Deficits were supposed to be going down. Business investments would go up. They would pay more taxes on increased investments. By the way, more people would be hired for high-paying jobs. And existing employees would all receive wages in the magical mystery world of Kudlow, Laffer, dream economics. Well, I guess the whiskey wasn't old enough, nor strong enough, and the hallucinogenics were not distributed properly because it never happened. And here's another thing. It's not going to happen. So we have now got a recession. We've got U.S. American businesses being devastated by a high dollar. That means they can't be competitive. We got a Fed that's raising rates, which means the cost of borrowing money is skyrocketing. And we got the whole world going, don't buy American. And that's biting into our ass. That's affecting our manufacturers. That's affecting Harley-Davidson motorcycle. That's affecting Ford and Chevy. That's affecting Indian motorcycle. That's affecting grain farmers. That's affecting food producers. That is affecting cows and milk and sheep and grains. And all of a sudden, oh no, we're wiping out. And Donald's sitting with a big smile on his face because he's great again, and America's great again, and coal's great again. You knew that. And steel's even better. Boy, I'll tell you what, steel furnaces, if you want to get high and see a show, why, you go toke the dope, you go to the steel mill, watch them pour that stuff, and go, wow, man, this is so cool. It's much more fun than my lava light. Wow, Donald Trump made me great again. Oh, how cool, baby. So there's a certain class of people that may be having a party. But here's the problem. The elections are coming up. And among college-educated people, among females, Donald Trump's support is diminishing very quickly. And he's losing the younger vote. He's losing the millennials. And even the die-hard baby boomers over 60 that work in factories are going, I don't know about this. I don't see no damn bonus. And then, here's the real thing about the baby boomers. When they go to get their pension, they're going to go, Sucker. Oh, you ain't got no retirement. We done blew the money. And there ain't shit you can do about it. And you go, wait a minute, Donald Trump will make me great again. Yeah, okay. So it's just not happening. It's lights out USA. It's a disaster de jour. It's a recession. It's a depression. It's a trade war we are losing. A dollar that's soaring in value. Interest rates that go higher every single week. Yeah. And businesses are, what? Pulling in their horns, shutting down operations, losing market share, unable to compete around the world because of higher input prices. And all I can say is, duh. So how great is Donald? Now, you want to hear the really good part about this? The Donald Trump lovers, that's too complicated for them to understand. Well, there's a deep state conspiracy, and you got to stick with Donald. You got to stick with Donald to the end because he knows what's best. So really? We're now down to the shit ain't working out like it was supposed to. The promises are not coming true, but we're supposed to have faith in Donald Trump. Shit. Faith in a politician? Yeah, right. Who believes that shit? So it's getting uglier. And we're going down the slippery slope of a recession and a depression. And I beg you to run, hide, get your money and stash it and trade it. Get out of the stock market. Get out of real estate. Oh, here's one for you. Get out of debt. Buy U.S. government treasuries, the most safe, secure retirement fund of them all. Now, if you've got money that's in retirement, it's retirement funds, that should be the safest, most secure investment you make. Two recommendations: cash in a mattress and money in treasurydirect.gov. You can make phenomenal returns without doing anything on paper that was paying nothing a couple years ago. You are looking at the yield on the 10-year, out-yielding the return of the S&P 500 forward-looking. Yeah. How about that? Oh, they didn't mention that to you? Yeah, I guess not. So it is time, my friends, to move in the direction of maximum protection. It is time you understand the crisis we are in. It's time you understand that we're in a trade war we're not going to win. The markets are not going to be open to U.S. products. You're not going to kick open the door and make that work. You can't make people buy what they don't want to buy. And you can't change the way trade goes on overnight. You want to talk about the real art of the deal? See, it's not a 30-minute TV show. You're fired, kiss my ass. Yeah, Donald, we got to slam a damn business for you. We're going to do con jobs on condominiums in New York. Donald Trump goes, already tried that, thank you. You're fired. So all these conflict resolutions, problems that are done in an episode, that's the world Donald Trump lives in. But that's not reality. See, that's TV. And here's one for you. The Apprentice wasn't real. No. It was a TV show. Donald Trump's not real. He's a figment of Bannon's imagination. He is a creation of publicity men and market moguls and advertising agencies and internet people. And he is not real. He's not a real leader. He's not a real president. He has no real understanding. He's a bunch of blow and go and bullshit. Really? That's Donald Trump. You know, they call him a liar in chief. Well, I don't care, by God, if he lies, because everyone understands that. Oh, really? Before this is over with, you're going to care a whole lot that Donald Trump's a bullshit artist. Before this is over with, you will care about his lies like nothing you've ever cared for in your life. Before this is over with, as you lose your job, as you lose your pension, as the U.S. economy goes to hell in a handbasket, as a night out for dinner is at the church supper in the basement, and shopping is in the pantry for dented cans. And that's the world you're going to enter, of abject poverty, of the wipe out of the middle class. Home ownership is not going to happen. The ruling elite have decided they're going to trash the stock market. They're going to flush the toilet on the investors. And let's not even talk about structured debt and debt instruments. In a recession and depression, the debt obligations of others is what your mutual fund investment is. Debt obligations of others becomes worthless. It's not an asset. It's a liability. Because it'll never be paid. Are you hearing me? It'll never be paid. So all those returns they told you about, well, that was predicated on not just the high interest rates, but then being able to pay back the high interest rate and the principal. Yeah, not going to happen. So you're taking a walk on the wild side. You're risking something on things that are not true. Why does it make a difference if the president lies to you and is a bullshitter? Because his lies will wipe you out. His lies will make you poor. His lies will lose you jobs. His lies will cause your pension to be worthless. His lies will collapse the stock market. His lies will lose customers. And you wake up one day and America has a whole lot less business, a whole lot less inward investment, a whole lot less money flowing in, and it's turning on itself. And it's losing its power. It's losing its influence. Because Donald Trump wants to colonize, and we're not going to be the policeman of the world. Now, I think that's ironic. Donald Trump will not send more troops to Pakistan and Afghanistan. Donald Trump will not seriously engage in Syria. Donald Trump wants to be the Star Wars guy. Yeah, he wants to be the Emperor. Remember the Emperor? And I think Bannon could be a Darth Vader. And he really wants to make a Star Wars army. And I think it's nice that we should defend ourselves against space invaders. But the reality is, if we want to be a world power, we need to protect our presence on the planet Earth. We need to exert our will over people on the planet Earth. Got it? So we're now moving into another fantasy, another half-truth that's a lie, and giving big breaks to corporations with unconditionally does not have them invest more, does not have them spend more. Starting mindless trade wars without the proper negotiations does not improve business. It blows up in your face and destroys your businesses and makes goods more costly for your people. So all I can say to you is that we are moving into the danger zone. And we are moving into a wipeout. And we're moving into an economic crisis. And you better prepare yourself. By the way, it's no longer theoretical. The budget deficit is soaring. Corporations are not investing. They are not paying bonuses. They are not hiring more people. They're not investing in plants and factories. And the trade war is causing the dollar to soar, which means our goods are not competitive. That's the reality of Donald Bullshit Artist Trump. So how's it feel? Trump forever. Trump will make America great again. So all I can say is get your coal mining hat and come on down.